Hey, yo, YouTube, what's up? It's your boy. Okay, look, today I wanted to address this ongoing debate on whether or not women are becoming more masculine and men are becoming more feminine. Um, I just like to apologize beforehand for using pictures of muscular women. I'm not condemning physically fit women. It's just an analogy. So take it for what it's worth. And also, we're not going to be talking about this situation much. Harry Styles in a dress is really just a ploy by Gucci to see if they could con heterosexual men into buying $4,000 handbags and dresses and accoutrements. It's a cheap ploy. It's capitalism, and quite frankly, it's going to fail and be cast off into the dustbins of history where it belongs. Instead, I want to talk to you about the psychological impacts of what's going on between men and women when it comes to masculinity. And to do so, it would behoove us all to have at least a foundational understanding of what masculinity is. I'm not one for long, drawn out explanations, so let's just try and build a consensus, okay? For the intents and purposes of this discussion, masculinity is the psychological, sociological, and physiological ramifications of being born with a phallic appendage. This is very important. Psychologically speaking, masculinity manifests itself through a persistent and pathological fear of vulnerability. Nobody wants to be prison raped. Nobody wants to be unable to defend themselves and their family. Nobody wants to be poor. And men, we're so afraid of being sick that we don't even talk to doctors on a regular basis. We have a right to be vulnerable. It's just that our fear of vulnerability makes it impossible for us to do some things for ourselves. Sociologically, it's the same thing, but when you project it outward, sociologically speaking, being a man means adhering to the masculine social contract that society dictates to you. That means that you have to ask for help last. You as a man are not valuable until you make yourself valuable. That it is your job to keep your mouth shut when everybody is hungry. That you have to make yourself useful to the community and competent. You get it? The social contract you sign as a man is to make yourself the primary breadwinner, the person who offers up companionship first because it denotes confidence and fungibility. Sociologically, masculinity means making yourself useful to the community before you are valued. Physiologically, well, it's very simple. It would behoove you to have a body that is fit for violent conflict resolution. It would behoove you to understand that when you have a phallic appendage, you will be transgressing upon someone else's boundaries and their safe space to achieve physical contact, emotional validation, and chemical release of anxiety, etc., etc. You have to understand that sex will never be the same for men. For men, because we have to transgress upon women, means that sex is an achievement, a dangerous achievement sometimes. For women, sex becomes a trust test. And although you could chastise a woman for not trusting enough, you will definitely chastise her more for trusting too much. Conversely, you could chastise a man for achieving too much, which is ridiculous, but you'll definitely make his life a living hell if he has never been validated at all. If a man doesn't achieve sexual intercourse or sexual contact with a woman, that means that he is of no value to no one. So with that said, because of our physiological nature, we will never have the same sexual moral code as women. This is important. So physically, women are not the same as men. And sociologically, women will never be asked to fight, fuck, and finance better than a man. Which leaves the only real aspect, the only real pathway for women to be considered men, and that is in a mental state. Women could be just as strong as a man. That goes without saying. But what isn't being said is that they are embracing male logic, the hard, cold logic of survival. They're becoming more Nietzschean, in so that they're beginning to hate weak men, and they're hating themselves for being weak. Now, I know you've heard it before that women are drinking more, sleeping around more, and achieving more. They are the new men, etc., etc. But the cost of that is that they're losing their spiritual foundation, and they're giving up their spirituality for raw logic. That's the problem. It's not the fact that women are becoming more masculine, is that they're heading down a path of rationalizing toxic masculinity, in which, I'm going to say this slowly, toxic masculinity is when you hurt yourself and others because you don't feel strong enough as a man. Strong women are hating themselves for being weak. Strong women are hating weak men to the point that it's been codified that, let me say this, the old adage of alpha fucks and beta bucks has been codified through online by OnlyFans and Tinder. Women respect the simple truth that if you are not valuable as a man, they will not deal with you. But at the same time, when they get their hearts broke, they hate themselves for being vulnerable in the first place, for opening up to a man in the first place. That is where the problem is arriving. Women are not only embracing masculinity, they're embracing toxic masculinity. And I know a lot of you men will probably say, well, toxic masculinity, it is real. Toxic masculinity covers everything from homicide to suicide and everything, and drug dependency and despair deaths and whatnot. And I think that's what women are finding out. They're enjoying a brave new world of logic over emotions, reals over feels, facts over feelings. And it's a painful transition. So I'll leave you with this. Are women becoming more masculine? Yes. Are men becoming more feminine? Yes, in a way. They're becoming more vulnerable, or they're just dropping out of society altogether. But it's really hitting women real hard that they see the world for what it is. They're almost black-pilled in a sense. And that's what we need to address. How do we get women to, I don't know, maybe be a little bit more softer, be a little bit more kinder, I don't think it's going to happen, but ultimately, that's what we're left with. Hard, cold, rational women and men who have dropped out of society. That's your world. At least that's the way I see it. If you have anything to say, feel free to drop a comment. This has been your boy, signing.